welcome to another episode of Carolyn Talks Television. I'm Carolyn Topal, and I'm here with the amazing Rachel Arnett, my fabulous co-host.
Hello.
And you'll notice we are not dressed quite like we typically are.
Yes, we are fancier today.
Yes, we are. I'm wearing my fanciest Mickey Mouse shirt, and I said that I know with such a New York accent. That was funny. That was a hard one. But yeah, that's me, all right. But I'm dressed with one of my favorite, I shouldn't say favorite, Mickey Mouse shirts, and you are wearing?
I'm rocking the Mystery Machine, a little Scooby-Doo tie-dye, a little psychedelic for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's like second era Scooby-Doo or second level Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Because today we're going to be sharing cartoons. Yes. Some of our favorites, some of the world's favorites, and some that are kind of a surprise, I would say, in the world of cartoon that you don't realize just where they started from.
I'm excited. I love cartoons.
Okay.
I grew up with the Saturday morning cartoons and then even Sunday morning.
Yep.
I used to sing the breaks in between the after these messages. We'll be right back.
That's right.
I used to sing that all the time. I still do, clearly.
Now, I have to say, when I was a little girl, they had Saturday and Sunday morning cartoons. The Sunday morning ones were a little bit different than your Sunday mornings, because partly some of them had a little bit, sometimes, of a religious nature to them. We won't be really getting into that one, which I thought was unusual, and I didn't really understand it. I was
that the Davy and Goliath? Or?
Yes.
Okay. My dad references the show, but I've only ever seen clips parodying it. I've never seen actual clips.
No, I used to watch it. It was almost, in my mind, a different version of a Gumby-ish show.
It's like a Gumby / morality play.
There you go.
Why not?
Hey, why not?
That's kind of like VeggieTales, which is a newer version.
There you go.
Talking vegetables, although not in David and Goliath. It was a dog.
It was a dog.
Yeah. But VeggieTales is, I believe, Christian themed.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
Religion and cartoons as a mode for reaching children. It makes sense.
But if you think about it, considering we're of two very different generations, we both did the Saturday, Sunday morning cartooning. And I have to start with the fact that one of the ones that was a feature on Saturday mornings that you may not think of offhand, because we're going to talk about some of the more common ones later, was Gumby.
I love Gumby. Before starting the show, I may have been singing the Gumby theme song. We had like Gumby movable figures.
I did too. They've been making them for decades, man. They made money on those Gumbies.
Oh yeah. It was a good show and it was fun, and it's fun to look back and see the claymation style now, because I think you don't see that as much really on TV now. We'll see a lot of claymation for larger movies, but not a weekly TV show, really, in the same way.
Now that they do digital, they can mimic claymation
very easily.
But back then, claymation really was clay. And they would move each figure that little minuscule bit and take the next shot. Just like you did with animation. It's click, 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 click.
Yeah.
But this time they would use little figures, and it would look like the figures were truly lifelike, animated.
Yeah. And I loved Pokey, his little horse.
Yes.
I also just love the name Pokey.
It is.
I don't know, I guess it's maybe cowpoke, sort of where it came from.
Maybe.
I don't know. But I just always loved Gumby and Pokey.
Oh, see, and I always thought of Gumby and Pokey. Pokey was like always relaxed, so I thought that was why he was named Pokey.
That's true.
Because he was cool, even-tempered. That was the most even-tempered duo. It really was funny.
When I see clips now of Gumby episodes, it's so different than like the high-stakes, high-tension cartoon series. Like even the issues that they're facing, like they're living life.
Yes.
I don't know, I just really enjoyed it.
And then, of course, those other morning shows that every generation has loved. And I think they still are on, but mostly on the Cartoon Network, which is kind of sad that they're not as mainstream. Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, Daffy Duck.
Oh, yeah. Every once in a while, maybe on Nickelodeon. Maybe. like the late night. But oh man,
and that would be late night. How sad is that?
Yeah, I mean, we used to watch Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes after school, and then Looney Tune Adventures, which was when they were like a child version of themselves, which was adorable.
And that was all. That actually started, though, I believe. I'm just guessing here. Now, they may have done one or two of those over the years anyway. But I think that started out with a different kind of animation, which was Muppet Babies.
Yes.
When Jim Henson's company developed an animated version.
Babies. And I know little clips of all of these theme songs. They're coming back to me.
And these were all things that came later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They came out more when, in my generation,
Correct.
We had Muppet Babies, Tiny Toon Adventures.
And Bugs Bunny, of course, everybody knows Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd, and he's going to get that wascally wabbit.
Oh, yes.
It was just a lot of fun.
Wabbit season, duck season, wabbit season, duck season. It's so everyone has their like favorite episode. I was also a huge fan. I can't remember the name of the episode where Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny are acting out the opera. It's kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
Yes.
My sister and I used to sing that in the backseat of the car to our father's consternation. Like every trip.
And then on the flip side of that, you had Roadrunner, which was exorbitantly artistic. And yeah, I'm saying that. Roadrunner cartoon was artistic because it never had words.
Yeah.
Sometimes they were written. That's where we all got Acme Explosive Company.
Yes.
Acme.
And those anvils. Acme. There were anvils everywhere.
That's right. But everything was done visually. And this is my teacher talk coming out now.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Teacher talk taught people how to think in a figurative way. Really young children had to think in their mind, what was this story about? Because no one was telling you.
Yeah. Why is the coyote chasing that roadrunner?
Well, that one I never wanted to figure out. Oh my gosh.
They figured out. They want to eat. But it was also just, there's this celebration of cleverness with most of the, I would say, protagonists of those cartoons. So Bugs Bunny, and even though the coyote is, I don't know, it's like a protagonist-antagonist to me looking at the Roadrunner. And I don't know, and even, what's the little mouse?
Are you talking about Tom and Jerry?
No, in Looney Tunes, there was a little mouse, and he was very clever, and he was always fighting off. That's okay. I can't remember. I'll remember in a bit, and I'll bring it back.
And so that was some of the mainstays of daytime cartoons. Now, middle of the night cartoons, sad to say.
Yeah.
But they were classic. Now, in terms of being PC right now, maybe that's why they've been relegated to midnight. I don't know.
There's some things that, looking back, a little problematic.
Definitely violent, definitely. I would imagine there's some misogynistic stuff going on in there somewhere.
I would say a lot when it comes to Mr. Skunk.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Pepe Le Pew. He really didn't take no for an answer.
This is true.
And he was always kissing the other. It was always a cat who somehow got paint on her back, but he was always like kissing up her arm. And even back then, it kind of creeped me out. I didn't think it was funny.
No.
Not as funny now either.
No, actually, that was not a cartoon I loved. Now that I'm thinking about it. But going back to some of the things I did love, one of the things I loved was the fact that people don't realize there was a couple of cartoon shows. One more recently. But one when I was, once again, little girl, so this was back in the 60s, and it was a primetime TV show. And people forget that.
Which one?
The Flintstones.
Yeah, see,
primetime TV. It was a half an hour model, just like any other sitcom was, but the characters were cartoon characters. And if you paid a modicum of attention, which is really as an adult is all you had to pay, because as a kid I really didn't get this piece, even though I was aware of the other shows. They really were a blending of I Love Lucy and The Honeymooners.
I can see that. Absolutely.
And what they did was they brought those shows to what they had called a child's vantage point. Because let me tell you, at 6 and 7 years old, I could watch I Love Lucy and I understood what I was watching. I didn't need the Flintstones. I didn't need the animated version of it.
No. But it was so much fun.
But the Flintstones was great, and everybody loved the car that ran with by foot power.
To this day, the little play school cars that are red and yellow.
Yes.
I always think of them as Flintstone cars. Always.
In fact, that's what we called them when we bought them for you, for my daughter. We called them the Flintstone car. Can you pull out the Flintstone car? We didn't say I don't even know what brand it was because we called it the Flintstone car.
Yeah.
Let's pull out the Flintstone car. And you know what we loved about it was that you actually had to use your body to make it move.
And it also prevented people from going too fast.
Yes.
Bumper cars in one of those little Flintstone cars, not quite the same as with a motor.
You think? I think you're right.
Probably for the best.
And so that was one of the first, though. I'm not sure of other nighttime cartoons prior to that, but I'm not 100%.
Oh, not prior to that.
But I know that I used to watch the Flintstones, and I think for a while it was back to back. The next show would be Gilligan's Island.
That's awesome.
And I thought, what a great night.
Yeah.
And at 7 years old, I understood it all. I understood Gilligan's Island, and I understood the Flintstones. And it was an interesting balance because they were both prime time. Another show that I believe, pretty sure started as prime time was Scooby-Doo. It was either prime time or it was after school, though. It was not meant to be.
Yeah, it was not a morning.
It was not a 4-year-old's cartoon.
No. And
do your Scooby-Doo thing.
Yeah, so Scooby-Doo in general, I'm a huge fan, clearly. What I loved about Scooby-Doo was that every character had their thing. And it was kind of my first introduction to like trope TV, where it's like, no matter what the episode is, I know exactly what to expect. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo are going to be off eating everything out of the fridge and then accidentally trip over the person who Velma was chasing to tell the truth. And Freddy is going to come in with his cute little ascot, and Daphne is going to be just all cute and pretty, but very intelligent. And at the end of it, someone's mask is going to come off, and they're going to say, and I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for these meddling kids.
There you go.
And just the patterning of it, I found really, for lack of a word, comforting. I knew how it was going to end.
And you know what I loved about it? Because it started when I was still, I believe, in my teens, probably. I'm guessing that. I loved that the characters on Scooby-Doo, those 5 characters, all represented personalities, and they all were accepted by each other.
Yes.
Nobody was judging. Daphne didn't judge Velma because she wasn't a fashion model. Velma didn't judge Daphne as a
until the movies, but that was a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
The live action movies did some very interesting things with the characters.
What they did was they took something that was teaching people to be completely accepting, and then they took like 10 steps back instead of going forward.
But there were so many, or not so many, but there were also just the newer iterations of it, like the Vincent Price and the Chest of Ghouls, where Vincent Price, and there was a new character, and he was younger, and he was, at the time, the first non-white character on the show that they really brought in.
Oh, okay.
And it was just interesting. Like they were, even when I watch episodes now with Zach, like he'll catch something that's hilarious that I totally missed. And it's very interesting watching it as an adult because there were definitely things that went way over my head, which I think cartoons in general, a good cartoon, there are things for the child and the parent.
That's what I was going to say.
Because I'm going to get forced to watch it.
If you have a good cartoon, it appeals to the parent watching with the child.
If it is child friendly.
Yes.
There are some, to be fair.
And to segue into that moment, briefly, let's go to the adult version of cartooning. And I'm going to let Rachel take this one away because, to be honest, I actually don't watch a lot of this. I've spotted it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So I haven't watched in a few seasons, and I actually did not start watching until the movie came out, but South Park is still probably one of the most well-known adult cartoons. And a big part of that, I watched a documentary. When they are in season, they are going week by week. They are literally crafting the episode and the jokes and recording everything in like a week to 2 weeks time. so that the show is relevant to something that's happened. So some big political thing happens, like a week later, you're going to see it in an episode of South Park. And
I was not aware of that. That's really good.
If you ever get the chance to watch the documentary, it's fascinating because they take you from the writing room to the recording room, and some surprising people are involved. Like, I didn't know Bill Hader was a writer and performer on South Park.
I did know.
I didn't know that until I saw the documentary. I was like, what is Bill Hader doing in that room? Because I only knew Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who were the creators and do most of the voices. But South Park is just one of those shows that has built its brand on being irreverent. As a result, as I've gotten older, some things I don't appreciate as much. There have been certain episodes that I was actually genuinely offended by. So I just choose not to watch it anymore, but I know it's still.
And that's why the TV remote still has a power button.
Yeah, absolutely. But just adult cartoons in general are a huge market still. I mean, even if you ignore, which we shouldn't, anime, which is its entire genre.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Which is a whole different ballgame.
But if you do for adult cartoons, I would even put, because I was alluding to this also, that it is a nighttime cartoon also, The Simpsons.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if you had an 8-year-old watching The Simpsons, they'd laugh, they'd giggle, they'd have a good time.
But they wouldn't get it.
But if I watch The Simpsons, I'm still getting it, and I'm still laughing. Oh, yeah. And sometimes my eyes will bug out and go, did they really go there? And the kid has no idea what I'm talking about, which is great.
And some iconic characters, Bart Simpson, Homer Simpson. People who have never seen The Simpsons will go, dope, and somehow know that it's Homer Simpson. Like,
that's right.
And eat my shorts, man. That's Bart.
No, I knew that. I knew that. And the other thing is, some people will see like a model of a big donut, and they'll know it's from The Simpsons.
Absolutely. Yep. That big pink sprinkle donut, and especially if it's over the nuclear facility in Springfield.
Now, I'm going to put it out there so we have time to do this. And then we're going to go backtrack to some of these. These are some of the most significant cartoons, I think personally, of all time. And I was looking at a series of them. I mean, we talked about Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny was created in the 40s. Brilliant.
Wow.
Brilliant. And it was on before movies.
Yeah.
In the theater, too.
Oh, that makes sense.
Homer Simpson, one of the best characters. Charlie Brown and Snoopy, 1950s era. Charles M. Schulz. Oh, my God. I can't tell you how much I love that. I had the Charlie Brown Treasury, the book. I must have read it 6,000 times. I know the cartoons by heart.
Oh, yeah.
And I have the stuffed animals to prove
Snoopy.
it. Snoopy.
Again, I see my students wearing shirts with Snoopy that have never seen an episode.
And once again, like Roadrunner and Coyote, Snoopy never speaks.
Nope.
I mean, he goes wah sometimes, but never says a word. But
it's neither Snoopy or the Red Baron.
But the tone of voice and the facial expressions are all you need to know.
Which, I mean, Blue from Blue's Clues.
That's right.
That's all you're getting, but you can figure out what
you can figure out what you like. Right. Tom and Jerry.
Oh, absolutely.
That was so great. They made it into the big screen with Gene Kelly. Hello.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. You get Jerry the Mouse
and
dancing.
were then parodied in Simpsons with Itchy and Scratchy.
That's right. So, I mean, you got to, and excuse me, just for the record, Mickey Mouse. Yeah. Mickey Mouse started about 100 years ago in movie theaters.
That's...
Because it started as Disney Animation Studios. I believe we're around that 100th birthday of that studio coming up, if not right now. I'm not sure which it is. And then we did Scooby-Doo and Shaggy.
Yes.
2 classics. And then, okay, this is arguable. I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were a turning point in cartoons.
I think
because I think they brought
action-based, super powery,
superhero-y, but still, I watched this with my daughter when she was little.
Oh yeah, it was hilarious.
And I didn't find them offensive. I didn't think they were going too far over the top. Like I've seen some cartoons and I'm like, oh my God, turn that off! Oh my God, ew! No, you didn't have to do that with them. And to be honest, as a teacher, once again, I like that they named them
after the painter,
after famous artists, so that later, when my kid actually took an art class, she'd be like, I know that name.
Yeah.
I thought it was the name of a turtle, but okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yep.
It's good.
The more modern ones, definitely SpongeBob. Despite the
Yes.
fact that
if you can be
am not a
successful
fan.
on Broadway as a cartoon character, then you got to be okay.
and has really this whole new life on TikTok and social media, in memes, in videos, apparel. I have seen students who are wearing like pajama pants that are the SpongeBob, like spongy material, and then like a Patrick Star thing on the top. Like SpongeBob is beloved. Beloved for
I
my
would say
students
that
and-
I know
and
that you
older.
can't, but if you could, I'd say please take a picture and send that to me, because I can't even begin to go there. Let's talk about some famous cartoonists,
Oh, yeah.
because these cartoons did not come out of nowhere. Charles Schulz, we talked about briefly. Rankin Bass. Think about your favorite Christmas ones. Then you're going to get Holly Jolly Christmas with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all those wonderful Marshmallow, which was also a claymation.
The Snow Miser, the Heat Miser.
Yeah.
Right? Weren't they in? I'm Mr. Snow White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow.
That may have been a later one.
That might have been.
That may have
yeah.
been a later one. And then, of course, Dr. Seuss.
Oh, yeah.
How many Dr. Seuss cartoons have we seen, starting with How the Grinch Stole Christmas? And it's coming soon. I mean, they're going to be back.
Yeah.
I don't know about you in your household, but I actually look for certain Christmas shows that bring me back to when I was still little.
And there are a lot of them that are cartoons.
And
that
they're
are the claymation. And they hold up very
Not
well.
only do they hold up, but when they've been converted, like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, to a real lifey kind of
Jim
show.
Carrey was so good.
They even hold up there. But if you think about it, it all started with a cartoon. It started with Dr. Seuss's book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And so many others, not Christmas related,
Oh, yeah.
cartoons.
Absolutely. And they made through there.
Yeah, the Lorax, one of my favorite. One of
So
my
good.
favorite. And Hanna-Barbera.
Which is your Flintstones and really that whole...
And though
They did a lot
They
back
did a
then.
lot. These people took an art that was young back then, and they just threw it out one after another, because the one thing I see in Walt Disney is, while they tried to get stuff out in the theaters as fast as possible, because that's how you make the
yeah.
money, when we're talking about the TV era, which is what our show is about, these people had to crank it out.
Oh, yeah. They were.
And they were not cranking it out on a digital camera.
And they were not cranking it out for exceptionally good pay either.
No, and you would have to go sell, get me that cartoon by the end of the week, sell, snap, sell, and turn and I'm calling them cells because that's what each individual
Giant
pane
sheet, yeah.
of animation was an animation cell. And you would have to take a photo of every single one. I hope some of you remember when you're little, taking the little
Oh, the little flip books?
flip books and
Yep.
just that's exactly what they had to do, but they had to make it so much more in depth and then match it with sound.
And it's interesting now because when cartoons or even comics are made now, there's different people who fulfill the different roles. There's someone who draws, there's someone who inks it, there's someone who does background. And a lot of the time back then, it was the one or two people doing everything. Like, you weren't just drawing Mickey Mouse and then handing it to someone else. You were doing Mickey Mouse and the background while he was in motion, and then the next one.
And then you are absolutely right. And now, of course, they're doing it on a touch screen with a stylus. And if you say, well, that's a little bit too much, all they do is they adjust it with, I'm calling it a mouse. I know it's not a mouse. Whatever they use and whatever tools they are using. I've never used them. I'm kind of interested in trying it someday, but I've never used them. But they're adjusting it with computer.
Well, it's fascinating now that there are algorithms that are used to create light in cartoons that figure out, okay, you put the light source here, where would that light bounce off of? And there are programs that attempt to do it automatically. But there's still someone who is a lighting director for a cartoon, that will go in and say, no, that absolutely does not make sense. We need to reduce the lighting on this spot because the person's nose is facing that way. It's the level of detail in good cartoons.
And you know, it's interesting because we see cartoons and we spoke about a lot of them, but there's some really nice new ones. And interestingly, one of the things that I've noticed in some of the newest cartoons is, of all things, from Australia.
Aw, Bluey.
Yes.
We love a good Bluey.
And if any of you out there remember over these years, The Wiggles was also from Australia. Okay? And that was live action, a wonderful children's show. Apparently, they got some good children's writers down there.
Oh, yeah.
Down under. I didn't mean
is-
down there being mean about it, for referring to down under.
Yes.
Called a cartoon called Bluey, which is been picked up by Disney and Disney Junior. And it's a family, and once again, I would have thought, oh my God, and I'd roll my eyes. Why would you watch Bluey? It looks like, to me, it's the level of, it's all the kid level and not. And then I watched one because, I'll be honest, we were in Disney World several months ago. It was about a year ago. And my son is in the room with us. And so we put the Disney Channel on for him while we were getting dressed. Okay. He's watching Bluey. And I started watching Bluey.
It is such a good show.
And what I will say now is that on that note, with these sweet shows in mind, Rachel and I will see you again next month for more Carolyn Talks Television.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.